it's like you've got this little girl that no one knows who she is, partnered with Mark Wahlberg, and they're like, I don't know who that is. And now I think it's like maybe taking it back a little bit. Like they're trying to recapture that target audience from 5 years ago, but by using characters they're familiar with now. Or not characters, but actor. I don't even want to call John Cena an actor, but you know, they're using personalities.
The entertainer, yeah.
Yeah, they're using entertainers that they that they would be familiar with. So
if he don't hit the 5-knuckle shuffle, he is officially off my wrestler actor list.
You know that.
Well, did you see those promo pictures where they're like focusing on that tank and that old guy and like that whole like Sector 7, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And then you realize you just can't see him.
See what you did.
No, but
you didn't. That was the conversation. You didn't see.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Verbally Challenged. I'm HarikenBx. Got a bunch of friends here with me today. Let's say what's up. First up, Brian Brink. What's up?
Yo, what's up? It's fucking late.
Late night.
Put the kids to bed.
This is after dark right now. What's up, Big Dom? How you doing tonight, bro?
How you doing, Jose?
Good.
I'm ready for round 2, right, Gary? Let's go.
Absolutely. That's my second spot on Verbally Challenged, so I'm pretty psyched.
Nice. Playing the long game tonight.
Yep,
all right. Energon Addict, what's up?
Yo, what's good? Glad to be here.
It's good, Pop. Making his first appearance. Got Frogman 78. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Hey, good, man. Good seeing you.
Good, man. Awesome.
It's the latest panel member on Plastic Fanatics. I'm digging that, bro.
Yeah.
You like that?
James on vacation for the next few weeks, so we're gonna try to fill that void and stuff. Have a good time. All right, E-Money, what's up?
What's going on?
Chilling, brother. Chilling. And once again, I got Greg from Mercy. What's happening?
hey, what's going on? How's it going? Stuff.
Good.
Words. Things and stuff. Feelings. It happens. We all have them.
All right, what's up, guys? I wanted to talk about some Marvel Studios business tonight. They've been having a really successful 2018. First with the release of Black Panther, which grossed over $1 billion at the worldwide box office. Following up with that is Avengers: Infinity War, which is still in theaters again, and I think right now it's the highest grossing superhero movie ever. I don't even know what the box office tally is at this point, but it's over $1 billion. Marvel, just success after success. They seem to be cranking out. Next on the slate is Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is coming. Early screenings on Thursday, July 5th, but officially opens nationwide on Friday, July 6th. So just wanted to get your guys' opinions. What have you thought of the Marvel movies so far this year? Black Panther, Infinity War, as I've said, killing it at the box office. Again, very positive reception from the audience. So just want to get your guys' opinions on those films and what you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp and how you think that movie's going to do. If it's going to be the third movie in a row for 2018, a third win for Marvel. So what do you guys think?
I think it might have the potential to be a big win, because I think everybody's going to want to see what happens at the end. And obviously there's going to be like a moment like the cutscene from the Avengers when they showed I forgot the fucking guy's name.
Thanos?
Nick Fury and Maria Hill,
Hill.
and kind of play that part, whether it's going to be a cutscene or just at the end. It'd be cool. It's at the end, and all of a sudden, they're just doing like a nice little, we won the day, and all of a sudden, a couple people disappear. Who will that be?
Supposedly, there's 2 end credit scenes that you must stay for, and it's directly tied into the new Avengers movie 4.
I feel that it's definitely going to get that type of audience. People are going to be interested in the fact to see whether what since all these are tied up. So at the end of the day, you're going to get that pull from people to go and say, hey, maybe they'll show us another piece.
Man, that's where I'll put it to this way. Everybody's going to go see this movie. It's a good movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I like their characters, but everybody's going to go, bro, just to see what's happening next. The thing about the story that's going on in this movie is totally tied in to the Soul Gem. and everything else that's going on with that. Like, where is everybody? Are they in this other realm, dimension, this place where they're all lost? All these people that kind of turned to dust. So everybody's gonna be eager just to get another snippet of what's going on with the. It's a continuation of a little bit of the Infinity War part. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this one takes place before Infinity War, right?
It's actually at the same time, bro.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to survive? The ones that turned into dust, or the ones that turned into Chris? That's going to be what you got to think about. Never mind. I'm sorry. I was just being a dumbass.
I think the theory is that the Wasp at the end is going to turn to dust, and that's when she turns to dust. Is obviously when Thanos snaps his finger at the end of Infinity War, and that's where these movies kind of come together. So supposedly that Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's a key character going on to the Avengers 4.
I read this from multiple sources that what's going to happen is the ones that are going to get snapped, it's going to be the Pims. It's going to be Hank, and it's going to be Janet, and then, or not Janet, Hope, and it's just going to be Ant-Man. It's going to be Scott Lang and Janet Van Dyne, and she just got out of the quantum realm, but she has her suit. Her suit exists. So, it makes sense that she would still have her suit from, the 80s, to use, because it's in his house. I just think that would be a good, what the fuck is going on here now?
That's interesting.
Last time this shit happened, I was in a bathtub, and now, dust.
I was always hearing that the film was going to be like a prequel, but if you're saying it takes place at around the same time, it makes sense. And the early buzz on Twitter is very positive. People that have seen pre-screenings, they're saying as much as they could say about the film. They can't say much about the details, but it's very, very positive from what I've seen so far. And they have been saying that the post-credit scene is a must see. It's a shocker. So
you're not going to get that fucking punch until Captain Marvel.
Oh yes.
That's when you're going to get that. You're going to get the title reveal probably, because it will say Captain Marvel will return in Avengers. What's the word I'm looking for? The bullshit internet drama title award, and you're going to see something important. Speculative was the word I was looking for, but I couldn't form this syllables at the time. But yeah, people are saying you're going to get that's a theory. People don't really know at this point, but that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that punch. You're going to get a punch, and then at the end, it's just like they've done with all the movies. It's going to say Captain Marvel will return and Infinity or Avengers 4. This shit's about to happen.
Not for nothing. At the end of these, I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, a couple days ago, and then at the end, when they're Guardians of the Galaxy will return, dude, it kind of gets me. A little bit when you see that at the end of these movies.
Yeah.
You get excited. It's man, because they took you on that wild ride and they let you know. It's they're coming back.
I just watched part 2 the other day, and man, I got so many feels. I watched it in the theater. I think I saw it 3 times. I saw it once once it came out, and I haven't seen it again since. And I just randomly bought a 4K TV, so I've been watching, trying out various movies, and I threw it on Saturday night, and I was just oh my god.
Which film?
Guardians 2.
Oh, Guardians 2. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the comedy Marvel movies, and people disagree with me, but I think Ant-Man and the 2 Guardians movies, just that tone, I think it works really well.
Yeah,
I would agree.
The subject matter. Because it's fucking insane. You can do an X-Men comedy.
Yeah, Greg, I agree. But do you feel it fits with the Thor movies? It seems a little out of place for me in those for some reason. But the other ones I don't have a problem with at all.
I feel like the comedy tone was set in Thor when they mixed him in with the Avengers. They took the dark tone out of Thor and gave him the more lighthearted one when the Avengers took place, because then you had all these mixed personalities. And it was funny to see Tony Stark and Thor go back and forth, and Captain America and so on. So I feel like they tried to keep that tone in Thor Ragnarok instead of going back to the dark and brooding, because if you keep flipping back and forth, he's got a funny side, then he's got a serious side. At some point it's interesting, but at another point it's almost it doesn't feel genuine anymore. You know what I mean? When he's constantly flipping back and forth.
Well, I have a slightly different take, but I also agree with you. I think the way they introduced Thor, it was kind of serious because they were afraid to play around too much. And I think Thor 2 was garbage. And then I think after the things they've introduced, kind of the comedy, I think pairing up Thor and the Hulk, I just think that was the perfect excuse for a comedy buddy movie. And I just think they kind of went with what felt right. And it works. Like, they showed the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's kind of hard to say. I think the one thing they do really well is show that you can do a superhero saga and do different tones. You don't always have to be dark and brooding.
Right.
You don't have to be like, dry wit. You can do different things and they all tie in together.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of have to you kind of have to approach them all with the same heart. You know what I mean?
Because each of these superheroes also have a different tone standalone coming into these, mixed ventures with Avengers and stuff, right? What I'd like to see is how they're going to mix the Punisher into the mix if they ever decide to do so. Because that, I don't know if you've seen the show, but that is ridiculously awesome, but really dark and gritty. And how are they going to mix that in with the Avengers?
I don't think they are.
Are you going to put... Yeah, I don't think they are either.
They will.
But are you going to put the Ant-Man and the Spider-Man, like, in the same, like...
Oh, that's coming.
As, like, Iron Man or Captain America? Like, I'm saying, like, that... Just that tonal shit. You've got Captain America. And the Iron Man. And you have Ant-Man. And the Spider-Man. Because they even say it. There's like, he's like, so there's an Ant-Man and a Spider-Man? Like, that was perfect. That was awesome.
And Avengers proved that you could mix the different styles of the films a little bit more serious along with the tone of the Guardians of the Galaxy and what Thor Ragnarok became.
The mix in Avengers is great.
Yeah, they pulled it off very well. And Brian, like, I get what you're saying, because the way they introduced Thor in the cinematic universe in those first two movies was definitely a very big tonal shift to the third one. But I felt like they could have reeled back on the comedy a bit, but I don't mind that they kind of went the direction they did, because a character like Thor, I was never really, I read comic books, but I was never really interested in reading his book because of the way he spoke and, that mythology. Like, I never really found it that interesting. And I know Walt Simonson told some good stories, but for the movies, I felt like, man, that was to do the comedy bit, like the way they did with Guardians, and they made it work so well. To bring kind of Thor into that, it kind of just makes that character more successful, because he could have just went down the tubes. Like Greg said, like, I felt like the Thor the Dark World, it wasn't, I mean, visually it looked good, but I wasn't entertained that much by that movie. That's not like a Marvel movie that I go back to watch again and again and again. It's not.
Was it more like a spectacle movie?
And I'm not talking too much about Thor the character. I mean, I think it's overdone a little bit in some cases, but the movie in general, just like a lot of the slapstick kind of physical humor, like when Valkyrie is introduced and she just falls off her ship, shit like that doesn't, like, I didn't find it funny,
Well, how about this? So we've been to some conventions together, like all of us. Well, the majority of us on this call, right? Hello. Hi. Hi, Mark. So, like, we're not the same people. We all have different tones. Like, we handle ourselves differently. Like, I kind of joke and talk shit. Some people are more serious. But then when we get together, do we all act the exact same? We don't. No. So, like, why would you expect that from an Avengers movie? So I think having different tones for different characters and playing around with where they are in their lives, I think that really works. As far as the outside that comes into the whole of the universe they're building. I mean, to be honest, it's going to be the Avengers movies. And, like, these, like, collaboration, like, team-up movies is what they're really going for at this point. I mean, even since Iron Man, they're grouping together a team. So they have this plan. And I think setting up all the different characters with all the different personalities to bring those personalities together into a balanced movie. I mean, I think it works. I think they did a great job. And I don't think they did that so well. Never mind. I don't want to get into that argument with other franchises, but I think they did it very well.
Yeah, and they continue to do so. Like, because it is a lot to handle, like, all these characters, and a movie like the Avengers, like, to handle as many characters that's in it, it could easily be a shit show. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could see, like, DC having a hard time doing Justice League, and it's 6 of them. This Avengers movie had how many characters in it? dozens. They did an admirable job. Characters that had a role, they had their lines, but characters that didn't have much of a presence, you still know who they are just based off the buildup that led up to this film. And Marvel just did it the right way. And they had that vision, as you said, right, from the very first Iron Man film. Yeah. And it's amazing that they've been able to keep this shit up. And just, as I said earlier, just be able to give you a string after success, after success, after success. Like there's a formula to it for sure. And, every movie has its ups and downs, but for the most part, they're just knocking it out of the park, in my opinion.
Well, I read an article today. And I'm sorry, and I'll honestly, we'll shut up after this. I'm sorry, I keep saying I'm gonna shut up, but because he keeps bringing up something. I read an article today that was discussing like the way they did it, and like the directors and producers were constantly going back and forth, like, to each set. Every time there was a movie, like, all the people that needed to be there were there, just so they understood, like, what they were doing, so they could incorporate that into the next movie they were writing or the next movie they were directing. Okay. And like it's a group process. It's not like oh yeah, so and so is writing this one and so is going to pick up this one, and they never interact. They just kind of like write the script off the movie they saw. They were all there. So
I agree.
That collaboration is evident. I mean, these things are very good.
I mean, it's like a team. It's like a sports team. Like, everybody can practice individually, but when you get on the field, like you got to know who you're playing with.
Well, yeah, it all comes down to chemistry. 100%. Right. It all comes down to chemistry. But to that point, I think Marvel's biggest advantage was that they started small and they built from the ground up. Being when they started in the Iron Man movie. I feel like that's where it really started it all, right? Was the Iron Man movie, and then they just kind of built from there. And the reason why a lot of these other franchises aren't having the same success is because they're just trying to shoehorn their way into a universe, and they're not really starting anywhere. They're just kind of, no, this exists. This exists. This exists. You know what I mean? There's no build up to it. It's just here it is. Here's what you want, and here's what you like. This is what they're doing. We got one too now. Love us type thing.
Trying to catch up, like after the fact in a way.
Exactly. And I think that, to be honest, I'm kind of hopeful that the Transformers and Hasbro's, their idea of a shared universe will work, because they're going to be doing their own separate movies for each line, like Micronauts, G.I. Joe, hopefully Transformers again, so on. They'll be able to build, and then they'll have their like Avengers type movies where they all come together and it's some big crazy event that they all have to get together for, right? But then they'll go back to being their own individual identity. And that's something that Marvel has done really well, is as much as they have the Avengers and all your super dupers with the underwear on the outside of the pants thing, they all have their own identity in their own films, but they come together for the shared films. You know what I mean? It's key to have those individual films, because that's where your personality and your character development really comes from.
I mean, you would have to, because in these ensemble films like the Avengers, it depends on those individual films to succeed. Otherwise, you can't go into a story, especially one like the Infinity War, without having seen any of the previous films and know what the fuck is going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could still probably enjoy the film and enjoy what you're seeing in front of you. I think we maybe spoke about it before. People that haven't seen those previous films, I know, have said like, it was cool to see this character and it was cool to see that one, but I didn't know where they came from. I didn't know what was going on.
You're saying that if you see like 40 random motherfuckers and like half of them don't even look like they looked in their first appearance, you wouldn't know who they were if you saw Infinity War? No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Like what you said is exactly true. Like if Steve Rogers showed up with like in that one scene, like I'd be like, who the fuck is that? It's like Captain America. That's fucking. That's homeless man.
I love that scene, by the way, when he showed up. That shit was like, oh, fucking shit.
Dude, oh my God. I went and saw that movie 3 times because I kept on getting to pee. Yeah. And I didn't want to miss any little frame. So I just went and saw it 3 times. Kid even tapped out after 2. She was like, I can't go see it again. I went for the 3rd time just to see every frame that I might have missed.
Yeah, man.
Can you supersize your bladder or something? I don't want to see this again.
Yeah. It was so good, and just like that scene, especially the music. Yeah, man. The music kicks in, that Avengers theme,
and they show his silhouette. I remember I was like, I just looked to the next. I said to the guy next to me, I was like, dude, it's him.
Well, she got me back there in Solo because right before Darth Maul. Spoilers, but I mean, I think everyone's seen it. She fell asleep, and I was like hitting her on the shoulder. I was like, "What?" But she was like, "Oh, I fell asleep. What? What happened? She's like, oh, don't spoil it for me. I'm like, you
I hate it when my girl falls asleep during films, man. I'd be like,
oh, me too.
Choke you.
Especially when you're trying to show her your favorite part.
Dude, I know, man. Fuck.
How do you guys feel about the Bumblebee movie? Good, bad, hopeful?
I am misinformed optimistic because I'm always a little optimistic for these movies and I'm always let down, so I don't know. I like the way it looks. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, the trailer looks pretty good. I kind of wanted to bring this up on actually a previous episode and never got the chance to, but I was reading on the comic book adaptation. It's supposed to be a prequel of the film, and the tagline said, based on the Bumblebee film, based on for a younger audience. And I was like, so are they gonna gear this new movie? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be PG or PG-13, but it said geared towards a younger audience. So I think that might be the direction that they're going with this film. Like, what do you guys think about that? But
you think it might be like Transformers Prime kind of storyline?
Something like that. Like it just said it's, I guess so it's gonna be lighter. That's the gist that I'm getting from that tagline. Through the Bay films, we saw a lot of explosions, and we saw the death wasn't explicit, but there was death. You know, the human soldiers dying and the robots getting blown up and shit like that. So supposedly this is gonna be a somewhat lighter tone.
I have a take on that, but I want to go. I'll go last because I don't want to talk over anybody.
I think they're doing what they think is safe in regards to, you know, the 2007 movie boy car story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think they're just trying to, you know, what worked out of the Bay film? Oh, the 2007 movie. Okay, well, I think they're trying to capture that, and I applaud them for at least changing some of the concept up. You know, I like what Bumblebee is looking like. I just really wanted a bigger change. I was wanting a little bit more out of the box type of feel. You know, people are lining this up as this might be the new, you know, start of what they're doing or whatever the case may be. But I hope not. I hope they just let this one die and maybe or continue off a storyline. I don't know, but
what I was saying, or what I have said to a bunch of my friends who really enjoy G1 and so on and so forth, is that I feel like it would have made sense if this was the first Transformers movie. Not to knock the 2007 one, but like start like I said with Iron Man, how you start off small and you build a universe off of that. Yep. And as much as they did have death, and I kind of feel like it was gratuitous because that was kind of a complaint of most people. Is, you know, Optimus Prime is a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a serial killer.
Genocidal maniac.
Yeah, homicidal maniac. That's what it was. Yeah, right. And it wasn't Optimus Prime.
I'll kill you.
I feel like them going this direction and making it a little lighter is kind of the best move that they could make. Like it makes the most sense because as much as Prime had death in it, but it wasn't gratuitous and it also held heavy emotion for the most part. Same thing with Beast Wars when they introduced death. It wasn't gratuitous, but it was very. There was a lot of gravity to the scenes, right? And I feel like if they're going that direction, based on how successful both TV shows were, as far as cinematically anyway, I feel like this is probably the thing that makes the most sense for them. And yeah, they're probably just trying to go with what's safe as well, so they can guarantee money at the box office. Yeah, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing either.
No, me neither. I agree with you there. If it's for the purpose of continuing the brand and making something out of nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is there a way for them to make it not be a cinematic series and just do episodes? Like take an episode from, you know, whatever line you're interested in, and just hey, look, the Decepticons, they want to make energy out of something, and the Autobots are here, and I mean, you don't need any origin stories, blah blah blah. I mean, people know all that shit already. Just make it a 2.5 hour long episode.
I think that lends itself better to like original like animated movies or something like that, you know, like where you can kind of do things like that for like a movie.
Mostly animated. You just got some real life people in there every once in a while. So
yeah, but I think like from a film aspect, like people want to have that sense of continuity. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you go from Shia LaBeouf, like from the first 3 films to Mark Wahlberg, like, and it's probably a bad example, but just because we're talking about Transformers, you notice that change like and shift, and each movie is like loosely tied tied together, but not really, because every fucking movie had like a different story that kind of contradicted the one that came before it. Like, you know, but I think people want to see that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You want to see like a trilogy in some way. Like, I don't know if people would accept them doing like just one type of story here, and then the next movie is going to be like a completely different type of storyline with different.
I mean, yeah, but so why not take the James Bond approach though? Just be like, hey, it's another adventure with these guys.
I guess, yeah.
I
guess.
I like that idea. I like that idea. The thing about
it's a constant reboot.
It's the thing is, bro, is that it's too soon, dude. It's too soon. Yeah. This whole Transformers movie thing just practically just ended. So when you bring it up, the first thing they think of is the Bayverse. You know, Michael Bay. I'm like, for me, it's like, all right, this happened, it's gone. Let's give it some time to settle, start something new, something fresh, 100% different. Just pray that it works, man, because...
See, I don't actually think that this is the last one. I think that they said that this is going to be the last one, but I feel like...
To me, this is something new, dude. Something different that they're trying to do, but...
No, I agree, but I don't think the Bayverse is over. I think they're testing the water under a new director with simpler designs and, you know, the lighter tone and so forth. I feel like they're just testing the waters, because if this is successful, do you really think they're going to abandon this? No. I don't see it in the case.
Well, they won't abandon whatever the plot is for Bumblebee, but they're not going to continue the Unicron shit that, you know, whatever was going on last night.
This is based on what, 1942 or something
1987.
Like well, this movie's in the 80s, but you know.
No, because I know there's a scene where they talk about Bumblebee being in World War II, and then from there it jumps to the 80s, and then he's in some junkyard or some place where this girl finds him. Some bullshit like that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, thank God, because I thought you heard a bunch of shit I said when I was muted about my hedgehog. So this is the soft reboot of the series, and this is their move to get. Well, this is from Paramount.
Oh, really?
Not from Paramount, from Hasbro. This is a move away from the Bayverse, as they call it, like the Bay series. I think it's the words he used. As far as a younger tone. They went so with the last movie, they went with like this younger actress who I guess is like popular kid shows, but then they have like Anthony Hopkins and Mark Wahlberg and people like that, and like through the whole movies they've used like older actors that did a lot of stuff in the 80s and kids don't really know, but with this one they're doing like John Cena and they're doing this new girl and like stuff like that, and I think that's what they mean by a younger audience. Like they're using people that they recognize, but yeah, but I mean they've made several statements that kind of allude to this is like a transition into, I mean he literally said getting away from the Michael Bay series. Like he literally said that. Like the article's online, you can read it. He literally said getting away from the Michael Bay series. So
I like that idea.
Well, no, but they still established like characters that kids would be familiar with, like Starscream, Barricade. I don't know who the other one is. There's a third Decepticon, and Peter Cullen's in this in some capacity. So either he's kind of a random walk-on role, or he's going to be Optimus Prime at some point. But they're saying that depending on how this movie goes, and like the input and the feedback they've gotten from this, they want to do an Optimus Prime movie to kind of bridge into a new series and, you know, kind of build the story.
I'd say if they want to do that, do like what Ty said. Do an Orion Pax thing where he becomes Optimus and something like an origin thing.
Just lay the foundation to the character development so that when you do these big spectacle movies, they make sense.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it was lacking, because you had all these characters that you know and love, but because they're not exactly as how, you know, most people grew up with, you're left wondering, what the fuck is this?
Or go back and forth between like the past and the present, or the quote unquote the present, and like do like a kind of build like an entire story. Like I think Jose said with MCU, or he said with Iron Man, and you start small and you build like that whole world.
Yeah. Oh, I'm Tyler.
No, did you say that? I thought it was. I thought it was someone else. I'm sorry. No, I'm not bad. I'm sorry.
Hello.
I have. Yeah, I don't think.
Welcome, Tyler. Welcome to Verbally Challenged.
But like that's the formula that Marvel uses. It's character movies, single movies, and then the big spectacle Avenger movies that kind of bring it all together. So it's a formula and that's what I'm saying. It works for Marvel. They did a great job, and now like Star Wars is trying to do it, and they're doing a horrible job. Like, you know, so it's like I feel like don't
That's
always
subjective.
conform. Yeah, it's subjective, but like I
think it's Tyler, you fucker. Sorry.
and the funny thing is that you don't have to do the formula. You can keep Star Wars for what it is, and not really build this universe, and just, or even Transformers. You don't have to build a universe. Maybe just tell individual stories and keep them.
Well, that's what Brian just said.
Keep them
standalones.
Keep them character builds and more robot, less humans. You know, I would love to see that more often.
Oh yeah,
I
agree.
I was about to ask that question though. Like, do you think the studios would ever go in that direction? Because that's always the thing. They always want to anchor these stories to the human element. Like, I don't ever see them ever making the Transformers themselves like the main characters. It's always got to be a human, and then you're seeing the story through their perspective.
It's because you have to have something for the kids to relate with. That's why when you had Sam, he was a teenager. Then he's going off to college. Then he's getting his first job, right? That's your growing up story relating with, relating with your growing up teenager. Then in the fourth one, it was, again, the teenager, even though she had hardly anything to do with the actual story. In the fifth one, you had that little girl who disappeared for 45 minutes and reappeared on a plane. But it's to have something that the human element, so when you watch this, you're going to have something to relate to. And I kind of think it has something to do with scale, too, because these are supposed to be giant robots, right? So maybe it's got something to do with scale.
And don't get me wrong, it's been in history. Transformers always had humans associated, but like their part in it has been different from over the time. And I think with the Bayverse, they just put too much human into it. Like when you look at other series, cartoon series, they were the background and the robots were the foreground. So it's
what I was going to say, and I think that's kind of what I was saying. Like, they're scaling it back. Like, you start with Sam and Michaela, and they're in high school, but then it's like, all right, who are we targeting to? And then like they have the toy fair, and they're like, we're targeting the 13-year-olds. And it's like, all right, so scale that shit back, and then it's like ass and titties. It's like, all right, scale that back, and then it's like you've got this little girl that no one knows who she is, partnered with Mark Wahlberg, and they're like, I don't know who that is. And now I think it's like maybe taking it back a little bit. Like, they're trying to recapture that target audience from 5 years ago, but by using characters they're familiar with now, or not characters, but actor. I don't even want to call John Cena an actor, but they're using personality.
The entertainer,
Yeah, they're using entertainers that they that they would be familiar with. So
if he don't hit the 5-knuckle shuffle, he is officially off my wrestler actor list.
That.
Well, did you see those promo pictures where they're like focusing on that tank and that old guy and like that whole like Sector 7, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And then you realize you just can't see him.
See what you did there.
No, but
no, you didn't. That was the conversation. You didn't see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have hopes for this one.
I'm gonna go see it. I'm a fan ultimately of the brand and the franchise, so I'm always just gonna go and check it out of just my curiosity. And I never expect too much, and so just by that principle, if it's good, then great. And if it's not, then whatever. No big deal.
I think their mindset right now, I think with the character, I think they're going to build a character and they're going to build up Bumblebee, and I feel if they separate themselves from the Bayverse, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It
does look promising though.
A good story to tell, and at the end of the day, might be something. Yeah, it might be something to build off of.
Yeah, it looks good. So they could almost like do it either way. Like a soft reboot. Can you see them just kind of sweeping the Bay stuff like under the rug, and whatever direction that they decide to go with this film, and it's successful, then just kind of continue, and you don't have to mention anything that fucking went on.
Definitely, that's what a reboot is.
I don't imagine them sweeping it under the rug, but I imagine them probably retconning a few things.
No, but supposedly this is supposed to still be somewhat in that Bayverse, right? They're probably just not gonna try to tie it too much. I mean, none of them, like I said, none of the movies ever did.
They're doing quite a terrible job already, since they already have Uncle Bobby B's voice in the trailer. I don't know if he's actually going to be in the movie or not, but I mean, like, it's never mind.
No, I think they did that for like feels. Like the tie, like the people seeing the trailer that like watched the first movie 10 years ago, like to kind of get them like into that. Like that's been done before with reboots.
If it is a reboot, like Frogman said, is it too soon then? I mean, are the kids going to be confused?
I mean,
Well, I
it's
know that
possible.
some Bayverse fans already they don't like it. They don't like it. They think that it's catering too much to the G1 audience.
So this is going to be a good movie then.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like.
What little kids are you hanging out with, Tyler?
No, this is just from what I've heard from other people.
Oh.
Because Mike Kincaid from Blackout and Shout, he's got his own YouTube channel, and he posted his thoughts in a video. And I guess some people were commenting on it, saying, like, Bayverse fans saying that they don't like the way this is going because the Bayverse was already established.
Wait, hold on, Ty. You just said Bayverse fans? Those actually exist?
Yeah, believe it or not, just like
Really?
Beast Wars fans.
No,
there
there are. There's a
Wait a minute. That means that there's a contingent of people that are sad that it's over. Wow.
Dude, I would be behind the Beast Wars cinematic universe.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I agree.
My total respects to Beast Wars. I like Beast Wars, but there's no way in hell I can be a Bayverse fan. No way, dude.
Not everything's going to be for everyone, right? And I get that. My thing with Beast Wars is, and this is only personal taste, I'm not saying it as an absolute, but for me to be 100% on board with a Beast Wars movie, I would want at least one or two organic beasts for beast modes. Because I know, like, you got your, like how Generation Toy is doing the Primal and then the Sideswipe and so on, right? With the more mech beast. I like it. But I like the whole thing for me with Beast Wars was the organic beast. And I know a lot of the G1 guys didn't understand how a robot could transform into an animal that poops in a kitty litter box.
Would that be that a Beast Wars movie would be mostly CG? That'd be some difficult shit there, man.
I feel like it probably would. But I mean, like, look at The Lion King, right? The Lion King is going to be crazy. And that's not all, like, they have some, I feel like they have some practical effects with real lions in it. And then just when they talk, they're going to use
that Jungle Book one.
The Jungle Book, yeah.
Yeah, Jungle Book.
Did you guys not see any of the Transformers movies that ever came out or Rampage? It was all CGI with practical effects.
Yep.
Yeah, like it would not be hard to do a decent Beast Wars movie.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
The only hard thing I could see would be the market.
Well, that's the thing. And again, if it's going to be a film, is a studio going to take a chance to try to just kind of make the robots the characters instead of trying to focus on human characters? Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't see that happening. They're always going to tie it to the human element. So the only way they could do it, I feel like, is an animation or something like that, where tell a one-off story. It could just all be robots, adapt like what DC does, adapt from their comic book history and tell good stories through animation or CG animation. But it has to be kind of like a direct to video, because if it's a film in a theater, I just don't see them ever going in that direction.
They gave it 4 to 6 years, it would do well. No, I'm serious, because that would be the age. That would be the point.
Yeah.
It's like a nice liquor. It has to age.
When was Beast Wars? Like 92 to
96. 96 to 99, and then Beast Machines came out in 2000.
Yeah, so you would be... Okay, so 96. So yeah, like, you just let it go, and people would go see it just because it was Beast Wars.
Yeah.
And they'd see, like, a Rampage looking trailer, and they would share no story. They would just show, like, animals tearing shit up, and it would just go Beast Wars. And then they go see it.
Yeah, I think if they did like a new animated series or something like that with like the computer technology that you have now to do a series like that, I think it'd be very successful. Very successful. Just take it back.
I'm in a movie, but yeah, that too.
Yeah, either or.
I think at this point, I'd be more inclined for a Beast Wars TV show and leave the G1, or I guess Bayverse, whatever you want to call it, leave the more G1 callbacks to cinema. As much as I throw shade at G1, I know and I respect where the brand came from, and y'all have been waiting a lot longer than any of us Beast Wars fans have for movies. If you were to give us just another cartoon with Beast Wars, I think that would satisfy a whole lot of Beast Wars fans compared to giving us a 2-hour movie. And you can do a lot more with it.
So Tyler, you've seen what they've been putting out, right? In movies and on TV with basically, I don't want to say homage, but it's inspired by G1 characters, right?
Yeah.
Are you seriously that optimistic that when they put out your Beast Wars stuff that you're going to like it? I mean, honestly. Seriously. You're not. You don't want it. Just let it die. Let it be.
Here's the difference that I find. With the older generation, such as yourselves, that grew up on G1, you've had to wait quite a long time to get your movies. But in between your show and the movies, you've had revamp after revamp after revamp of Transformers with your Optimus Prime and your Megatron, but it's never quite hit home towards the G1 character, right? And then when the movie came along, it was like, finally, this is our time. We're going to see our Optimus Prime on the big screen, and that didn't happen either. Whereas with Beast Wars, we only had Beast Wars. Right. You don't see any more Optimus Primals or T-Rex Megatrons or Rhinox or Rat Trap, right? Except for, like, animated, they threw Waspinator and Black Arachnia in there. But you guys have had a lot more saturation of Optimus Prime and Megatron than we've had of any Beast Wars.
I just want you to think back to 1993 and listen to the wise words of Jeff Goldblum and think about what he said in Jurassic Park.
It's been a long time. Gonna have to refresh. Can you do the voice too?
They were too busy thinking about whether or not they could. They didn't think about whether or not they should.
We did get our movie on the big screen.
We did, Greg. So 2007 movie was it.
No. I mean the original movie. We got our movie on the screen. We got it a lot sooner.
Yeah. Oh, the 86 movie?
That's hashtag not our movie in 2007.
I remember the 86 movie.
I remember trying to explain it to a coworker that was like, he was like, you went and saw Transformers? I was like, yeah, I grew up on that shit. And he was like, how was it? And I was like, well, basically, there's Transformers Jesus, and they're tracking it down through space. And I'm like, the whole time I was trying to explain it to him, I'm like, yeah, this is fucking retarded. And like, Megatron was on deep freeze in a government base, but then like this one thing happened with this kid in his glasses, and he spazzed out. I was just like, yeah, this is just bad. It's bad.
Yeah, but the thing with Beast Wars, with the movie, with trying to pitch it, it's going to be hard because it's got to be somewhat in prehistoric. It's just going to be the robots and animals. For somebody
farting and throwing feces at each other. It's just going to be.
I hope so. I hope so.
I definitely.
All right. Well.
I definitely would be cool, but like I don't see somebody pitching this movie and then actually getting somebody on board to with even the Bayverse and how much strong the humans are in it. They're just gonna be like, are there any humans in it? Yeah, there's it's Cro-Magnon man over there in the corner just fucking picking his nose.
To be fair, Rampage got a movie.
True.
I can't imagine the Optimus Primal figure. Squeeze it and it farts. Feces throwing action.
See, like with this soft reboot and with them starting to build a universe, I could see Beast Wars fitting in it pretty well because Beast Wars was in the same continuity as G1, right? So if they did standalone Beast Wars movies and Transformers movies on top of the Micronauts and whatever, when you have these movies where they come together, you could do a Transformers and Beast Wars come together like a timeline thing, right? Mm-hmm. And that would be a movie where time travel made sense, other than just we didn't know what to write here.
Is it Micronauts?
Two things.
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you hear Tyler said a Build-A-Friend movie? Did he say that? Because that's what I heard. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick. That's what I heard.
Build-A-Friend movie. You might be right.
Sorry. I'm not trying. I am legitimately not trying to be a dick. I just heard that and I was like, but I was muted. So, I'm sorry.
So hey, I haven't heard about this from my favorite Transformers podcast in a while. But is that Micronauts stuff that they talked about? Was it last year and a half ago? Is that stuff still in the works? Like that whole merging of those brands into one, cinematic story, not cinematic, but one story. Is that still a thing that's happening? Because what was it? It was Tyler. You brought it up. Speak up.
What? I don't know. I've seen like when they first announced that there's no more Transformers movies and that they're rebooting. There was an article floating around that they were building this universe around Micronauts and G.I. Joe, and I think it was Mask as well. They're doing a movie for.
And there's that one other one too. I can't remember. It's like a single syllable word.
No, I don't know. I've just that's what I've read or what.
Yeah. How long ago was that? Because I haven't heard a peep out of that.
I haven't either. I was saying it really emotionally.
I'm making Joker face like when he takes his mask off in Harvey Dent's hospital room, and he's like, "Nyeh." That's the face I make when I accidentally talk over somebody. Just so you guys know. It's supposed to still be happening. they've been really quiet on that shit because with the like the movies kind of getting like a little reboot and like whatever, but I don't think they had Micronauts and all that shit in development. But they're also canceling the comics, so I don't know. Like they're canceling the current comic run. Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably not as profitable as they thought it was going to be, and they're just going to pull a Paramount and just drop that shit off the schedule and not say shit about it until somebody asks them.
I agree. I don't think they see that as a viable option.
And how many people are going to ask them about Micronauts? Like how many like press?
Exactly.
Like, what about the Micronauts movie? What about Visionaries?
Exactly.
Maybe that's what it was.
If Transformers is flopping, fucking what they consider a flop, like none of those other franchises, I feel like are gonna be anywhere close to what.
I love that shit. They're like, Solo was a flop, but I think it's made more money than the last night.
Almost.
You know what I mean? It's like
but it had a bigger budget though. I think the budget was $257 million for the movie, and it only made 300 some odd back.
Yeah, but it's still made the same It's still made that same profit margin, I think.
Oh, I guess
think.
so.
Don't hold me to it.
Oh yeah, and there was that ROM thing as well. Wasn't that?
ROM Space Knight. Yeah.
Weren't they supposed to combine all this crap together into one big thing?
See, but do
they
people
even
want to
did that.
see that in film, though? Do people want to see that in films?
Well, they did that with the Unicron, the Free Comic Book Day. Unicron ate Rom's home planet.
Oh.
And it was like they really ingrained him in the story then. But yeah, like who gives a fuck? Like that's just ending. I mean, I care. I give a fuck. Not about those, but I care about more than me, or excuse me, the Lost Light. And I care about the IDW, the Transformers, like, wrap up. I don't give a fuck about Visionaries and all that. I mean, I do, but not like in the way it's been presented to us so far in media.
Yeah, and that's comic books, and you know, so you definitely don't want to see that shit in a film. Like, what desire and where fans that read these things, like the mainstream audience isn't reading that. So who the fuck gives a fuck? They've never heard of these characters. So
I'd go see it, and it'd be like when I went and saw Jim. I mean, I didn't go see Jim on my own. I went with my wife and her friend, and us boys stood in the back of the amphitheater drinking drinks and acting like idiots, and the girls and the children watched the movie, and we were the only fucking people there. 5 of us. Yeah, and that would be how ROM and all the other shit would be.
Yep.
Eventually, at some point, but if it gets to that point 1 or 2 times in a major market like Columbus, Ohio, then it's not going to do well. So why even mess with it? Why even do it? Make a decent DVD that'll make its money back, just like with IDW. Just make a decent DVD, put it out, market it strictly on sites, our medias, you know, like the things that we follow, and be done with it, right?
Makes sense to me.
And just make your money and put a good product out. Like, don't get greedy. You want to make $1 million. You might want to make $20,000. Whatever. Just do it.
Slow
like, just
and
do
steady
it.
wins the race. Yep.
Yeah, man. Maybe eke out some toys. Like, if it makes money, put some toys out. Like, just kind of slow roll that shit. Don't just fucking Hasbro fucking ass fuck it like they always do, and then just buries the fucking property. Mattel does it too.
Are they still approaching these Transformers movies as basically a toy commercial, just like the old show was?
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
I imagine so.
Because that's what the main drive is, right? To sell the product. Like you want to see.
In that case, you don't need a trilogy. Just put shit on the screen then.
You know, when you say it like that, that's true, Ryan. Like I kind of do agree with you. Like make the shit good and don't worry about, you know, the bigger picture, I guess, let's say. Especially if they don't have a plan for like a bigger universe in place. Like with Transformers, I don't want to see that shit mixed. Maybe with G.I. Joe, maybe if that's done correctly, but I don't want to see that shit mixed with really any other franchises. Like stay in your lane and make those movies good.
And throw the human characters in the background. No one cares about the human characters. Just want to see the robot.
I have a question for you guys then, because like I personally, I'm not too up on the comics, but from what I have read, I know they're really good. But do you think that outside of comics, that maybe innovation within the franchise is being stifled because we haven't gotten something as nostalgic like the MCU is doing? Because the MCU is following the comics, right? Following the storytelling, but they don't sell Well, I know they have like Marvel Selects and stuff, but they don't sell toys, or they don't make the stories around the toys the way Transformers does, right?
They're
But
loosely following the comics.
Yeah, very loosely. You can't call that exact. The medium is always going to change because there's a lot of crazy shit that goes on in the comic books.
But at the same time, to answer your question, they do put out MCU Marvel Selects because it's Disney. So yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is because Transformers has always followed the same formula: your Optimus Optimus and Megatron, Autobots, Decepticons, fight to the end. Aside from like Beast Wars, but even then, it still followed the same formula of Optimus Primal and Megatron. You still had those namesakes, right? What do you think the success rate would be if they decided to make a completely original story with original characters? Not build an original universe, but like just create a whole new cast for people to, like, for instance, take the Wreckers. Make a movie completely about the Wreckers. Something that doesn't involve Optimus and Megatron and the Autobots and Decepticons, and just have like a sub-faction of Transformers. Do you think that would be successful, or do you think that would be a flop?
You make a movie like IDW based or something like that?
Well, and that's what I was just kind of talking about. Like, if like slow roll that shit. Like, don't get all fucking crazy about it. Like, just slow roll it. And if it starts to pick up steam, like, do a comic, which they did, and look at the sales of the comic, then start working on a direct-to-DVD movie. And then do toys, specific toys, not mainline toys. Do like a specific set to go with the comic buyers, or the comic buyers and the DVD buyers. And then if that works out, do a feature film.
But does a company like Hasbro, the size of Hasbro, do you think they have that time and that kind of patience?
Oh, you don't mean actually? Oh, I missed that. You don't mean Hasbro. You mean like another company?
Well, maybe not. No, I do mean Hasbro as far as like an original story with different Transformers, not staying with the staples of Optimus and Megatron. Because all the shows, all of them, focus around Optimus and Megatron, no matter what universe it's in. And if it doesn't focus around them, he's there. Like in the new RID, Optimus had to come back, and Megatron, or Megatronus, I guess, came back. And you got Starscream and all your staple characters. Do you think you could do either a TV show or a film based on characters that aren't those staples? And you think it's worth the risk to see if it's successful?
I can answer this question because I'm not part of ROC. I'm part of SCU, and I'm a guest here, so I can take the fall. I can be the hero you deserve right now, or you need right now, but not what you deserve. I think if Lucasfilm got a hold of that shit, I'm pretty sure Lucasfilm Disney could make a Wreckers movie, and they could still stick with the general theme of it and keep the vibe. Because there wasn't anything too crazy in Wreckers, especially if it was animated. Like, there's something too crazy in it, and they've already committed to doing R-rated Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
Like once that, if and when that happens. So
that'd be crazy.
Make some money. If it makes the money, you need a company that wants to make money, but it also wants to please the fans. You don't want one or the other. You want a company that really cares about the fans.
Yeah. An animated movie with Overlord torturing Warden, that'd be fucking crazy.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, do a Wreckers trilogy. Last Stand, Requiem, and Last Stand, Sins, and Requiem.
Or what about a show based on the original 13 Primes?
I feel like that's too much of a abstract like concept, or even like I feel like the religious overtones that you get in the comic books with all that stuff would be like a bit much for a mainstream audience.
They're also touching on that with Power of the Triumphs. Like, I mean, they are dealing with like Megatron as Unicron, which Unicron was in the original Prime, but Solus, and they're kind of dealing with that now.
Man, I
don't think it's working out.
Yeah. I think the potential for them to introduce new characters and build a new storyline is always there, but they always just have to take care to make those stories good and put some kind of like heart into it. Like, you have to care about the characters. And again, I think that's why they always try to bring the human element into it, because as we said, they have to make it relatable to us. And how are we going to be able to relate to a robot? But I think we can. Like, you just kind of give the robot those relatable human characteristics that we can relate to, and just tell a good story. And I think that's the crux of it. And it doesn't matter if that robot's Optimus Prime versus Megatron. It could be completely new characters, but you just have to tell a good story and make you care about those characters. Otherwise, it's just frivolous.
I just came up with an idea based off a DC movie, and I feel like a fucking piece of shit because I was trying. I tried to. Yeah, Martha. I tried to mute Dark Knight Rises. I was trying to keep it muted, but like still have the opportunity to talk, and so I was flipping back and forth. So you might have heard some of it. What if they did a movie about how Orion Pax or whatever incarnation of him became Optimus Prime, and then they flash forward and he has a deal with Megatron, and instead of like Henry Ducard and Ra's al Ghul, they could do like Megatron and Sentinel Prime, but like the same tone, not like the same exact movie, but like the same kind of tone. And you could set up like an adult trilogy based on that.
But see, that's where it kind of gets complicated as far as I see it, because Transformers in itself is a brand focused on selling toys and creating fiction to fit the toys, whereas
DC, who has its own like 3 or 4 toy lines. Well, never mind.
No, I know.
Sorry, I got a phone call right in the middle as I was talking, and it broke my train of thought.
No, I know what he's
saying.
saying.
Yeah, whereas DC. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't think they could reach out and do an adult movie, because at the end of the day, the objective is to sell toys, and the priority demographic for toy selling is children. Are supposed to be. What's up, guys?
See, but with a brand, that's what I feel like you could always just step out and branch out. Like you could have the kid-friendly stuff, and then these PG-13 baby movies or whatever, and then you could always do like a direct-to-video, kind of like maybe R-rated Transformers story, and you're not trying to sell anything but that story and that Blu-ray or that digital to the audience and nothing else. And then you have a Japanese company or whatever, whether it's Takara or another licensee, make figures based off that, like Figuarts doing figures off Batman Ninja, like something like that, like a different type of concept based off a familiar character, and then you also get toys of that stuff.
Well, don't forget, if it's not Takara or Hasbro making Transformers, they're not going to transform, because they will not let that shit go. They will not be shown up by a third party.
Well, I don't mind it. Like, if anything, I brought that up on the last episode about maybe Transformers. The curse of that, the Transformers brand being that because it's called Transformers, they have to transform, and then people, the community or whoever, doesn't give it a chance. Like if it's an Action Master type figure that doesn't transform, they're like if it's a Transformer doesn't transform, it's not a Transformer to me. So
I think with that, like especially considering what's the drift,
the Flames toys,
yeah. If it's going to cost $300 and some dollars or $200 some dollars, people are going to expect it to transform.
No, I was bringing it up
for a 7.5 inch figure.
I brought up the concept of them doing it more like the way Bandai does their Super Robot Chogokin line.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. That's at a $50, $60 price point. Doesn't transform, but you get a ton of accessories, and maybe you even get like a Hot Wheels type figure, like the alt mode, basically. So the figure doesn't transform, but you could still have both modes in a way if you want to do your figure photography or stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm sorry, I misinterpreted what you said. I apologize.
No, it's cool. Because I know the Flames toy stuff. That stuff is out there and it's expensive, but not for that type of price point. Just something to make more accessible for a more mainstream audience.
Well, didn't Revoltech do that with some figures?
Something similar, yes. Something similar like that. No, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Superposable transforming figures. They had different hands and accessories, and they didn't transform, but they were nice. And those were like $30 or $40. They were a little small. Like I'd probably want something a little bit bigger than that, but definitely along those same lines, exactly like that.
Those are weaker kind of figures too, though, because that was kind of at like an earlier stage in posable robot toys, like when Bandai was making their what were they called, Robot Spirits? Mm-hmm. Like there was in like that early stage, so like those didn't really do well, and like you can get them, you can get all. I think it was Megatron, Starscream, and Prime for probably get them for like $40 on eBay right now. Yeah, that really doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like that just is just saying like that was kind of an early experiment. Is the point I'm trying to make. Like I think if they did something a little better, but at the same time, if you put on a movie, you need to have a cheaper option. Like I think they could cross brand.
I don't think it was Robot Spirits, because I think Robot Spirits is Bandai exclusive.
No. Robot Experience did no. Okay, they didn't make those. I'm just comparing the two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm saying those Revoltechs were kind of along the same line. Like you got like a 5-inch scale action figure with ball joints, and like they had better. I mean, they had different joints, but it was the same kind of package. You got like a few different hands, you got a couple weapons, blah, 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 stand maybe. But it was like the same kind of like price point, the same kind of size at the time it came out. Yeah, sorry if I wasn't clear. I apologize.
Cool. I used to have some of the Robot Spirits Gundams, and I now, well, thanks to you, Craig, I have all of the Robot Spirits Jaegers. I really like I really like the Robot Spirits line, like what they do for articulation and stuff. But to be quite honest, I feel like the kits are kind of more beneficial. They're good. Like, don't get me wrong. Bandai is always on point with sculpt work, and whatever paint that they do is usually like right up there. But Bandai is very picky with what they will put out and what they won't put out, especially like with Gundams and stuff. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And I agree to a point that the Transformers could benefit from something like that. But if Hasbro was going to do it, it'd just be, it'd be the Masterpiece Deluxe line without an alt mode. You'd have to get all your Masterpiece Transformers or your G1 Masterpiece like Robot Spirits figures, and then, you know what I mean? Then you're stuck with exclusives again, and the exclusives for the Robot Spirits, they're much smaller figures, but they go for, there's, what was it? I think it's the pearl white version of Wing Gundam. Robot Spirits, that thing is like almost $400, and it's deluxe size. Would you pay that kind of money for a scaled down Masterpiece figure kind of like that?
No.
If I could get a kit, like the kits I buy, like, what do they call them?
The
they're not
HGs?
Gundams. Yeah, well, no, yeah, like just the kits they put out. Like, I buy the Stormtroopers and like the faceless troopers from Star Wars.
Oh,
and
not the sprue kits.
No, they are sprue kits. No, they are sprue kits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they fit in just fine with the Black Series. They fit in just fine with the I'm blanking. The figure arts. Yeah, they fit in just fine. They're a little bit taller, but like they fit in just fine. And like you can mix them into a collection. It's like Bobby says. It's not like they're using clone troopers anymore. You know, like you can fit them all in together. Like it looks fine on your shelf. And yeah, I get it. And it's the same thing with the Jaegers. Like I wish I had bought more of the Jaeger kits. And I wish I bought. Well, I actually have a shit ton of Gundam kits. I don't even display right now.
So how's that backlog going?
I still haven't had a chance. I've been fucking busy, man. It's busy.
I know, man. When I first got into the hobby, I bought like 12 kits, and they just kind of sat there. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I knocked the first like 6 or 7 kits out in like, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 weeks. But then after that, I just started building more of a backlog to the point where I had to stop myself from buying any until I finished the kits that I had, because the kits can get pretty expensive.
Yeah, I got a bunch of 12. What is it? 12? Is that the little ones?
144.
Yeah, the 144. That's right. Yeah. The 144s. Yeah, I got a bunch of those, and I just knocked them the fuck out. And then I started getting the next step up, and then I was like, I'm gonna get some master grades. And then I'm like, okay, so these master grades are super fucking complicated, and I'm just gonna kind of hang off.
I prefer the master grades because they're just complicated enough. The real grade is the 144 master grade, and I do not like that because way too many small parts.
That's the one Deluxe Baldwin did. He knocked that shit out in like 3 days, and he did the stickers.
Dude, I'm gonna have to talk to him for some tips then. Nope.
Yeah, I just don't have the time, like, to sit there. Like, I'd rather spend my time transforming a toy and, like, looking at it and taking pictures of it than, like, getting on my phone and talk shit about it on TFW and, like, doing all that shit. Like, I don't have time to put the kit together anymore.
I've moved on from the Gundams to more Zoids kits, and I got a couple Metabots kits, too, because they're easier. Well, the Metabots are easier to put together. They take less time. I can do a kit in, like, maybe 2 hours for the whole thing. And the Zoids take weeks. I'm still working on the Bison, but they're really photogenic when they're finally done, and that's one thing I absolutely love about them. But I agree as well that I prefer Transformers. I like to just flip them back and forth, because like I can sit on the couch and just flip a Transformer back and forth. I can't sit on the couch and just casually build a Gundam for 6 hours.
No, I totally agree, and I want to finish my kits. I was just joking because I met a local guy and sold him my MP36 Megatron, and we were right across the street from a store that sells Gundam kits, and I was like, man, I want to go over there and buy a kit. And I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, I have 3 of them in my closet that I haven't even built yet, plus one. And then I remembered I had an extra one, like, on the shelf, and I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't go buy a Gundam kit, even though I really want to buy a new one.
That's how the backlog starts, man.
Yeah, I was like, look, I got a new Gundam to finish. I have that 3rd Zaku suit from the original trilogy. I don't remember its name. I don't know how to describe it. It's the brown one. I need to finish that one, and then I have another Universal Century kit to do. It's another Zaku suit, and then I have the Barbatos Gundam suit that I still haven't done. I even have all the paints. Like, I actually bought all the stuff to do that. I spent more in supplies than I did for the kit, and it's sitting in my garage. It's just sitting there hanging out.
One thing I will say,
$20 kit and 70 in supplies, just sitting there.
One thing I will say about building these kits, though, be it Gundam or otherwise, they're really therapeutic because you actually have to sit down and dedicate the time to them, which is why it's really hard to go through, like bang through all your kits once you've gotten the initial hype out, because it is more of an investment because you have to put your time in, you got to make sure you do everything right, and you want it to come out as best as possible, right? But I find, like, if I just want to calm down and have some time to myself, throw in my headphones, listen to some music and stuff, I'll build a kit for, a couple hours and I'll chip away at something, and that's why I enjoy them. And because the end result, like, you can't argue. These Zoids kits especially, they're so detailed right down to the final panel lines, and they're amazing.
I do agree with that. It is somewhat therapeutic to build a kit. I remember doing it a few times. It's nice.
Well, now I got this like fucking 4K TV, and like, and I'm trying to keep saying that, but like, you know how you guys have, if anybody has one, they know how it kind of tracks. It's weird. That shit scares the fuck out of my wife, and I love just putting on movies she loves. And she's like, I can't watch this anymore. That's kind of my new hobby.
Looks crazy. I remember, I think that's the way I felt about my HDTV when I first got one. And Blu-ray, seeing movies in Blu-ray, I think it was like that same kind of feeling when you go from standard to that.
Dude,
I can't go back to a standard TV now.
When everything went to HD, like, you always see the studio lights in people's eyeballs now. They all look like zombies. It's very scary. It scares me.
We, our employer, we do displays at Sam's Clubs a lot. Like, we do like a thing, we pay them like 10% or whatever, and we set our shit up. And we have to set up in the middle of the night. So we'd go in there, and there'd be no one in there. There would just be this entire wall of TVs on demo. And they'd be watching, they'd be showing A New Hope. And like, it's Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon tracking, and then like that new HD. And it was the fucking weirdest shit to me. And I'm like, no, fuck this. Like, I don't want to watch this. This isn't my Star Wars. But now I'm sitting here watching like Batman, like the Dark Knight. I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Hashtag not my Star Wars, over the wall.
But I don't want to watch Star Wars. I don't want to watch old school Star Wars and that shit. I still want to get the VHS copies, but like I used to have. But now I'm watching the fucking Dark Knight right now. Like, it's on mute, but like Alfred's walking Bruce Wayne back into Wayne Manor. Like everything's covered in sheets. Like, he just showed back up, and I'm like, this is the coolest shit ever seen a rich boy walk back into his rich house after being gone for 20 years. This is awesome. But yeah, if I saw Star Wars, I'd be like, yeah, fuck this.
Yeah, anything old is not gonna look the same.
Exactly, but it does. So that's the thing. They make it look the same, and it's not natural. It's wrong.
Well, it's just dated.
I've noticed that the prequels look really weird when you watch them in HD.
The what?
The prequels do. Yeah, because you can. What? The prequels for Star Wars.
Which ones are those?
Yes, they just look so fake.
No, I'm sorry. I'm being a dick. I'm sorry.
He's not Jar Jar Binks.
Misa Jar Jar. We track ultra HD.
Probably because the CG is rendered and stable at 24 to 30 frames per second, and the TV tries to upscale it to 60 frames per second at 144 hertz on your HDTV.
Oh man,
that's why it looks weird.
Don't look right. I mean, it's been a while since I've
it doesn't, because it gives you that soap opera feel where the actor is still and the background is moving, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Or like it's on videotape, like the old Twilight Zones were.
Yeah, on 70 millimeter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'll probably be something you get used to, though. I'm sure you'll get used to that, like, eventually. Because, like I said, the way what you're describing is exactly how I remember, like, seeing.
It takes a second to get used to not having the motion blur.
We watch Apple and Onion. We watched the finale of what's the other cartoon? Gravity Pines tonight, and like that was even tracking. And she's just like, and like, it happens. It's just the way it's formatted. Like, it's gonna happen.
Let me wrap up the live portion
of
this
sorry.
podcast.
I didn't mean to ruin it.
No, we'll continue, of course. All right, let's get some where you at before we head out. Brian Brink, I'll start with you.
Brian Brink in the Realm of Collectors Facebook group, and at Brinkalizer on Instagram, and that's where you can find me.
All right, Big Dom.
You can find me at Dominic Ross at the Facebook groups, and with you guys always hanging out, chit-chatting, having some fun. Damn, it's fucking late.
Yes, sir. After dark, as we said. Mm-hmm. All right, Esteban, how you doing, Pop?
Good. I'm just Esteban in the Facebook group, and and Dante Bayo with a 0 on Instagram.
Nice. All right, Frogman, tell them where you at.
Frogman.
Met Eddie Frogman in the Facebook groups, guys. Thank you very much for inviting me and having me over, man. We enjoyed it.
Awesome. Always good times. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
All right, Greg for Mercy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm on Shattercast and Cut. I'm not so much on the groups anymore. I try to avoid the groups these days. I am focusing on my mental sanity. Other than that, you can find me at gsullivan138@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it.
Tyler G.
Hey, what's up? I'm Ty. I'm a nice guy. I'm a Canadian cancer, but I'm still fly. You can find me on Stasis Lock. He's not wrong. You can find me on Stasis Lock where we talk about Beast Boys, if that's your thing. I'm also on Instagram at Ty Prime, and in the Realm of Collectors Facebook group, Tyler Gillette. Yes, it's Gillette without the E at the end. I'm just like the razor, just not as sharp.
The best a man could get. Thank you guys for joining me here on Verbally Challenged. You guys, as always, have an open invite to be here each and every single week. And thank you once again. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, guys. I hope you really enjoyed that. And once again, I want to thank Brink, Dave, Frogman, Dom, Greg, Tyler, and Esteban at the end there for hopping on and having a conversation here with me on Verbally Challenged. And that goes for anybody out there listening. If you're a friend, if you're a listener of the show, if you want to hop on and have a conversation with me, the invite is out there. I always have an open invite for anybody out there to come here and join me on a conversation on Verbally Challenged. All right, guys, before we head out, remember you can find me all over social media at HarikenBx. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Xbox Live, and the PlayStation Network, all over social media at HarikenBx. Some quick shout outs. Remember to check out realmofcollectors.com. We're on Facebook as a group, Realm of Collectors. We're on Instagram at Realm of Collectors. Pull up a chair to the cool table. It's a hub for like-minded podcasts, including Enter the Realm and Breaking the Mold, Mondays and Tuesdays, respectively, on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. The only show to watch on Saturday nights, Plastic Fanatics, the late night aftercast on Victory Saber 77's YouTube channel. Those 3 shows are also available in audio format on iTunes and Google Play. The rest of the shows on the cool table are Shattercast Uncut, Nerd Rage Radio, Toy Detox, Stasis Lock, Building Up to It, Fresh Communication, Beer and Bolts 40K, and 8 Weeks. You can find the cool table on Facebook along with links to all these other great podcasts. All right, guys, that's it. That's the episode. Thank you for the download. Thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. We'll be back soon, real soon, with the next episode. All right, so please take care, stay safe, and peace out.